And mic'd up with Jake and Fulton. Thank you so much for joining us after. Hopefully, you had a 3-day weekend as well. Coming off of it, refreshed and ready for the final couple weeks of the basketball season. And Fulton, you smell that? That, my friends, is fresh cut grass. That, my friends, is the bat hitting the ball. We are a full go for spring training. That's right. Spring training is here. The first workout was yesterday. The Royals ready to go. We're going to talk a lot of things today. I mean, a lot of different topics. We're going to get to Royals baseball. Hear what Matt Quatraro had to say. Some not so great news to start off the Royals season, which, in all honesty, it wouldn't be a Royals season if there were bad news to start off a Royals season, right?
I wouldn't go that far, but fair.
Name me something that has gone wrong every single off season for the last 5 years, and yes. I mean, last year we didn't even start on time.
Last year was lockout.
You know what I'm saying? So, and every year Mondesi got hurt.
Yeah, well, last year was lockout. Year before that was the pandemic.
Mondesi got hurt again. Somebody else probably got hurt. The Royals rotation stunk. So that's it. The clock, the calendar turns to nearing March, and the Royals get bad news. That's just how it is.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the Chiefs hosting the AFC title game. I mean, it's just the way it is. So we will get to some Royals discussion. We'll talk a little college football, NFL football, new rules coming out in both the NFL and the college aspect of things. We'll get to that. We'll talk some hoops. Matt Derrick will join us for Herman's Meat Smokehouse Chiefs Insider. We'll get to Matt. Dan Lucero will stop by. So we got a lot to get to. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429 here on Mic'd Up. Very simple, very easy, 785-272-9429, or let us know on our YouTube page. Very simple, very easy. Go to YouTube, type in Sports on 580, click on the image, subscribe, and it will let you know when we do all sorts of video recaps and everything. Check us out. Let us know in the comments as well. Hit us up on Twitter at Sports on 580. So easy, so simple here on this edition of Mic'd Up. So we got a lot to get to. And what's weird is yesterday was Big Monday.
Yeah.
But because, some people did not had the day off yesterday, I completely forgot up until about 5 minutes before tip-off that KU even played last night. Not going to lie to you.
KU hated LeBron back in full force.
No, this is more of, wow, this is kind of nice having the day off and getting ready to go. And KU over the last 2 games might have just secured a share of the Big 12 title with what they've done over the last 3 halves of basketball. Last night, they beat TCU when TCU, I don't want to say was full force because Mike Miles is still not 100%. They had a quick Saturday, Monday type of situation. Lampkin is a shell of himself, even though he's a giant man and still is a presence. But they got the job done on the road. And anytime you win a game on the road in the Big 12, you should have a mini party.
You should, and even with it as well, I think you're very correct to point out that TCU is the shell of themselves right now and not their full strength. KU also played a bad game. This was an ugly game where neither team was playing well.
I wouldn't say KU played ugly. Did they play their best?
Jake, that game was 63-58. You can call it nothing else but an ugly, gritty, grinded out game. That's what it was. It was a gritty, grinded out game.
Okay, yeah. I didn't think it was ugly though. I've seen way ugly.
And that's fair,
you know
but I think that also emphasizes the importance of the win. It's not like KU won a game against a half-built TCU while they were also, couldn't seem to miss a shot. They at times couldn't make a shot.
Yeah. but that was a good win.
Yeah.
But I look back at what they've done the last two games. The last two games. More specifically, the last three halves of basketball. I don't know if I have seen a better stretch of basketball that was regular season, because what KU did the final 20 minutes in the national title game against North Carolina was still incredible. To this day, I don't think KU fans truly appreciate having the largest comeback in title game history, because
great.
You won it, and so you were just so happy that you won it. But looking back on it,
it was awesome.
But what happened?
Great moment they'll never replicate
on Saturday. KU went on a 34-9 start to the second half against a potential Final Four top 10 basketball team in Baylor. 34-9. The most remarkable thing maybe that I have ever seen this year on the basketball court is when you looked at the box score and it said Baylor's largest lead, 17. KU's largest lead, 17. That is a 34-point window that they played that game in. Baylor made everything, and KU, to their credit, came out in the second half, and it was as if the two teams completely switched. I don't know if it was that side of the basket or this basket was like, if you throw it to me, I'm going to let you in. And they ended up winning it by 16 in a game that if you beat Baylor and then you go on the road and beat a team in TCU that is a difficult place to play, ask K-State, ask the rest of the Big 12. Now KU has 3 games to go, and their schedule is not daunting.
They got one big game left.
It really, and that's the last game of the year. And that last game of the year might not matter because Texas's schedule is dear goodness difficult. Iowa State tonight, at Baylor, at TCU, then host KU. To me, the odds that Texas goes 3-0 against Iowa State, I get it's at home. Iowa State, Baylor on the road, TCU on the road, they got to go perfect. They got to go 3-0 in order to even have a chance to me at tying, because KU's schedule the rest of the way. Home against West Virginia, home against Texas Tech. That's why this game against TCU is so big that you figure they're going to beat West Virginia and Texas Tech at home, because West Virginia and Texas Tech are teams that don't play well on the road. No. And if you beat West Virginia and you beat Texas Tech, that forces Texas to go 3-0 on the road at Baylor, on the road at TCU. And at that time, Mike Miles is probably going to be a lot healthier. Who knows about Eddie Lampkin? Iowa State is never a gimme, because if they shoot the ball from 3 well, and I don't know if Caleb Grill is going to play tonight, I'm not for sure. But KU, what they did these last 60 minutes of basketball was incredible. I thought that huge second half against Baylor on the road against the team that was playing all of their guys, and that had a chance to be a letdown. It really, really did. But defensively, they were outstanding. Good luck trying to score on Dwan Harris and McCullough in the NCAA tournament when they're going to be turned up even more. And Bill Self is going to risk playing them more if they do get in foul trouble. I thought that was terrific from KU. On the K-State side of things, that was a monster win for K-State.
Yeah, that was huge.
They needed a win, and they got it in the second half. Marquise Noel, second half was outstanding, and it was, and we'll go kind of K-State theme here, that was a calm the waters type of win. That was, trying to be Kevin Bacon on Animal House, all is well. All is well. all is well with the win against Iowa State. And if you followed K-State and this show, you knew that K-State at home has been excellent. They've been excellent. The one game that they didn't was against Texas in a game that they let slip away.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've got an absolutely monster game this evening. 6 o'clock tip-off, so it's an earlier one. 6 o'clock tip-off, 5 o'clock pregame coverage here on 580 and 104.9. First of all, if Baylor wants a share of the title, you have to win this game.
Yeah.
You got to win this game because you are right now a game back. If you win, if you lose, you're two. But there's still a chance for Baylor to get a share of this puppy because KU could lose one of their final three, including that game against Texas. But Baylor's schedule very good. They take on K-State tonight, and then you take on Texas on Saturday. So that is a very difficult 2-game stretch. But for Kansas State, to me, this game is more about you win this one. That's another terrific win against a ranked team. Because Baylor right now, the rankings came out, they're ninth. You sweep Baylor. That means you have got wins over Texas, Baylor twice, and KU at the top of the league. That's incredible. I think if K-State wins this one, I think they've got a great chance of playing in Des Moines.
Yeah.
But I think you need to have one more big win. And for Kansas State right now, their schedule sets up maybe better than anyone the rest of the way.
In theory, this is their toughest game left.
Because you go on the road to Oklahoma State. Is that winnable?
Yeah.
Yes, it's winnable. Now, is it tougher because it's a road game?
Yeah, but it's winnable.
Then you're at home against Oklahoma.
Winnable.
Then you're on the road against West Virginia.
Tough, but winnable.
Exactly. If you go, honestly, 2-2 the rest of the way, and you finish 10-8 in Big 12 play,
that's at least a top 4 seed.
I think
with the quality of those wins.
I think you're a lock for a top 4 seed because if you go 2 and you'll be 22-9 going into the Big 12 tournament. You're probably looking at the 4 or 5 matchup. So you're probably going to play either, I'm going to guess, depending if you beat Baylor and what Baylor does the rest of the way, it's either going to be Baylor, Iowa State, or TCU.
Yeah, those are probably the teams you're potentially facing.
And if you get one win in the Big 12 tournament,
even better.
You're looking at a 23-win regular season with those wins. I think you're looking at a 3 seed. And folks, right now, with an 8-6 record, 20-7 overall before tonight, the NCAA did their mock bracketology, if you will.
Yeah.
And K-State was a 3 seed, despite what they finished, winning 2 of their last 6 games in Big 12 play.
It shows you how much the selection committee might weight what K-State did to start the year. And also I think it's the committee understanding the Big 12 is brutal. It's one thing to lose 5 of 6 in conference play in another conference. Losing the big, Bill Self mentioned it after the game against TCU last night. Just because his teams turned it around. Everyone was like, the sky is falling when KU had lost 3 straight in conference play. He was just like, guys, it's just the Big 12. That's just this conference this year. And so that's why I think if there was some thoughts and I was one of those that was a little bit worried about where K-State was headed when they lost 5 of 6 in conference play. But at the same time, I was like, it's just how this conference is. And it is just brutal. There is not an easy game.
The one game that they'd want back is the Oklahoma game. To me, that's the one game you want back, but that was on the road.
Yeah.
And so I look at the Big 12 right now, and they could play in Des Moines right now.
They could.
Right now. KU is a 1 seed in Des Moines. Unfortunately, they're not a 1 in
the Midwest.
Midwest. They're giving that to Houston, which I don't know if Houston or Alabama will end up there. I think KU has a great chance of being the 1 in the Midwest Now, granted, I don't know if you want to go to Kansas City. Not great history in Kansas City, but K-State's a 3, and they would go to Des Moines. Like, that would be awesome. Even if they're not in, right now right now K-State would be in the Midwest.
Yeah.
As the 3 seed, and then KU would be out west, which is not all terrible going to Las Vegas.
Oh,
but it's a great weekend for the Sunflower State because K-State needed that badly. And
more importantly, with how they won is what's impressive too. You're down 8 at halftime, and you're really storming back in. What have we said? When K-State can control their turnovers, they can be a really great team. Only 11 turnovers against Iowa State. They were great.
I don't want to say this is a house money game for K-State because it's at home.
Yeah, I would not go that far.
But I look at this for Kansas State as this win. If you're able to get another win against the top 10 team, that is 4 wins against the top 10 team, depending upon when you played them and whatnot. But that is a sweeping Baylor, beating Texas, beating KU. That's some beating Iowa State. That's some quality wins. And I don't think they dip below a 4. I really don't. I think that locks you into the 4 seed. And I think if you can get to the 3 seed, that's even bigger. And if you win today, and it's all about turnovers in this game. If K-State does not turn it over, I think they can go 1-1 with Baylor. I really do. As long as Baylor's not shooting it like they did in the first half against KU, then K-State, nobody has a chance. That's why they put up 45 points. But to quote the great Bill Self, water finds its level. And it definitely did. Coming up, we will do a little weekends takeaways and fails. We'll get to that. Plus, we'll talk with Matt Derrick coming up at the bottom of the hour. Weekend takeaways and fails. I've got my one takeaway. Mac McClung might have done the most difficult dunk I've ever seen.
Yeah. The replays were nice.
And I don't know if anybody knows just how difficult it is. He jumped over 2 people and then just didn't dunk it. He touched the backboard with the ball and then reverse dunked it over his head, not looking at the rim.
Yeah.
Like when you first saw it, you go, oh, well, he jumped over a dude. Wow, in and of itself. And I go, well, that didn't look normal. And I didn't recognize what he did. And then they replayed it. And my jaw hit the floor. That was incredible. By the way, if you didn't know who Mac McClung was, you are over the age of 40. Because anybody under the age of 40
has seen his House of Highlights mixtapes
on YouTube.
Yeah,
because
he's a viral dunking dude.
In high school, he did that stuff during games.
Yeah.
When I saw that he ended up being in the dunk contest, that was the easiest bet I've ever made in my entire life at Mac McClung winning the dunk contest at plus 300.
Nice profitable day.
That was awesome. I mean, I put now that performance, Mac McClung, into the pantheon of dunk contests with Aaron Gordon, Vince Carter, Jordan. Like, to me, that's how impressive that was. Like, as a man who's dunked a basketball and did some stuff, like I could do a 360 and stuff like that. Like, what he did is stupid. Like, stupid. That is so hard. So hard. And he jumped over dude. That's ridiculous.
No, that was an entertaining video to watch.
Ridiculous.
My takeaway is a very simple one. I got to watch a lot of college baseball this weekend, and I have now found out the easier way to fix Major League Baseball. Stop taking commercial breaks. Integrate them into the flow of the game. I saw multiple 9-inning baseball games that were just under 2 hours and 2.5 hours. It was 2:20. My longest game of the weekend was exactly 3 hours. That's because 28 runs were scored. Find a way to integrate the breaks, and we're here, Rob Manfred. We're here. I have found the way to solve your problem. I have figured it out. Make your pitchers work fast. We're there with the pitch clock, and then just stop taking ad breaks. Integrate them, picture in picture. I don't care how you do it.
Stop taking ad breaks.
You've done it.
Listen to you.
No, you can find a way to integrate the ads. Find a way.
Listen to you.
If Manfred, if you're serious with speeding up the game, if that's your call, I found your way. I found your way.
I know you don't believe that, though.
I found it. I found the way.
Get rid of commercial breaks. Get out of here. Coming up next, Derek will join us here on Mic'd Up. To Kansas City to talk all things Chiefs football with our Herman's Meat and Smokehouse Chiefs insider. He is Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Derrick. And we go to Kansas City to ask Matt the hard-hitting questions that you, the listener, want to know. And that is, Matt, have you ever got so drunk at a parade that you had to be wheelchaired to the hospital?
No, never been there. I have to admit.
Then you've never lived, apparently.
I've never been terribly drunk in my life. I think the closest I could possibly get, I had a very bad cold in college, and I may or may not have drank a whole bottle of NyQuil trying to get rid of it. And then
That'll do it.
had a dorm meeting at like 11 o'clock for some reason at night, and I have no memory of that meeting. I have just been told that I went around the entire. I've been told I went around the entire meeting telling everybody how much I loved them.
Nice. Oh my goodness, the video. And what makes it better is the police officer or the EMT rolling Jalen Watson in a wheelchair looks exactly like Chad Henne.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yeah, that's I think that's a rookie move by Jalen. I mean, I think his teammates are going to give him a hard time about that one.
But do you blame? I mean, technically, he is a rookie.
He's a rookie. Oh, he partied like a rookie, all right.
He definitely did. Where did you have Travis Kelce in the parade rally? Deciding to go all throwback Master P lyrics.
I guess we should have seen that coming when that was like one of the only rappers that Andy Reid could list off. So I guess he probably drew his inspiration from that, I'm assuming. Travis is an old school guy. So, I mean, he's the Beastie Boys guy and the Master P guy. I mean, at this rate, I mean, what's he going to be doing? I mean, he's going to be doing disco at the third and fourth parades.
Yeah. I did not think we'd drop a Master P lyric in his parade rally speech, kind of like 3 years ago when he thanked all of the World War I veterans. I didn't think we'd have that as well in his speech, but that's the reason why we enjoy that. It worked out well. A lot of people had a lot of fun. The parade was a resounding success. And I will say this, the one thing that I do like about the Chiefs and what they do and have done during their two parades is they get out and they get amongst the people. They don't just sit there on the bus the entire time. They get down from the bus, they walk around. You got Patrick Mahomes handing, a replica of the Lombardi trophy to some fan randomly. They're high-fiving people. You got Creed Humphrey chugging beers with fans who are on the parade route. Like, I think that means something to the fans.
Oh, I think it absolutely does. I mean, you can see it. I mean, that's part of the connection that this team has with this fan base and everything. So I wouldn't expect anything less from them. I mean, that's kind of group that they are, and they love it. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, they enjoy the connection that they have with the fans here. That's something that really, I mean, you can see the bond between the players and the fans, and that parade was just an extension of it. I mean, that just showed off, I think, just the true relationship between, Chiefs Kingdom and its fans.
Well, let's get to the actual football side of things. There is kind of some big news. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to find a new offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy is headed to Washington to be their offensive coordinator. One, do you think this is the move that puts EB over the top to be a head coach? Is it a risky move? Should he just stay in Kansas City and, hopefully, eventually, someone will give him an opportunity to be a head coach? How do you kind of break down this decision by Eric Bieniemy?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly not without risk. I mean, obviously, you're going into a bit of a situation, and you're going into really a kind of a clean slate. I mean, I'm not sure that you really have a quarterback in Washington. You're kind of starting from scratch. We'll see how much freedom that he gets in really truly building his own offense there. I think he'll have a pretty good free hand, but we'll just see how many of the coaches that he's required to keep around, how much of his own staff he gets to have. But I mean, for the Chiefs, it was inevitable. I mean, they obviously expected this each of the last few seasons, that EB was going to be gone. I'm not sure anybody expected it to have to happen this way. But I mean, if Bieniemy is either being told or gets the sense that he's not getting credit for what he's doing in Kansas City because he's in Andy Reid's shadow, I mean, what other choice does he have? I mean, I think he's done everything else he could to prove to people that he's ready for a head coaching job. And if this isn't enough, I mean, what else can you do? I mean, he's kind of been in that spot. I don't think he necessarily should be in that spot, because obviously OC for Andy Reid has been a jumping off spot for a lot of other coaches to be head coaches in the past. Not sure why it's really different for EB, but he's in that spot. It is with a risk. I mean, there's no guarantee of success. But I mean, if he has a year or two in Washington, there is absolutely zero reason why he shouldn't be a head coach.
And it really is all or nothing, because if he goes there and it doesn't work out, then it'll be, we'll see, it was all Andy Reid. Like there is, like, he won't get a head coaching gig, I don't think, if Washington struggles. I think this is his last hurrah, or the bet on yourself moment, if you will, that we like to talk about, with players, and saying, hey, I'm going to bet on myself instead of take this deal. I mean, this is it. If he doesn't do well, I don't think he'll sniff the head coaching gig after this.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be harder, no doubt about that. I mean, you're right. I mean, he'd probably be taking 2 steps back in that goal. And like I said, this is a risk because it's just the situation. I mean, you don't have known quantities offensive wise. I mean, there's obviously a couple of pieces that you can work with in Washington, but they're missing the quarterback. I mean, that's the one position that they don't have. And I mean, EB's going to have a chance to show himself, because if he can take whatever quarterback they end up getting for him and carving that into a successful offense, then he will have proven himself. But you're right. I mean, to me, it's kind of a Kobayashi Maru. It's a no-win situation, I'm afraid.
All righty, let's get to the Chiefs aspect of it. Does this really affect the Chiefs a whole lot?
I think it will a little bit, because I do think that there is a certain mentality that Eric Bieniemy has installed in this offense. I mean, I think it's any part of the physical nature of this offense, I think, does come from EB's personality and how he drives these guys. He is, probably one of the more disciplinarians. I mean, in that sense, I think he is kind of an extension of Andy Reid. And I made this comparison the other day, and I'm not sure that it's completely 100%, but I think there is a little bit of good cop, bad cop with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, especially when you look at maybe some of the relationships that they've had with players who have veterans who've been here and maybe weren't happy with their time in Kansas City. They don't blame Andy Reid, but they blame Eric Bieniemy. And I think it's because Eric Bieniemy sometimes had to be the bad guy. He's the guy that has to tell somebody, hey, you know what, you can't play anymore. You don't have it anymore, or hey, we need more from you. He gives them the kick in the pants. That's the kind of guy he is, and so I think they'll miss that, because I think Matt Nagy, if he ends up being the OC, as I think we all believe he will, he's got a different personality, and I don't know if there's anybody quite on that staff that has EB's mentality. So I think there will be a little bit of physicalness that they lose. I think he's been good for that. But there's still a lot of talented coaches on that team. So and the grand scheme, and especially from the execution standpoint, I mean, I think it is kind of just replacing parts.
Okay, so Matt Nagy becomes the OC. Not a surprise there. The question then becomes, who's the quarterback's coach? Because the quarterback's coach is just as important for getting a future head coaching job, just as the OC is, apparently, unless you're Eric Bieniemy. Who's that going to be? Because Kafka was at one point, Nagy was at one point, Doug Peterson was at one point. Who do you think ends up getting that job?
Yeah, it is a pretty good stepping stone position to be in. And it's also, I mean, the NFL's recognized the importance of the quarterback coach, because that's now one of the positions, only one outside of offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, that you now have to have an external minority candidate for under the Rooney Rule. So, even if, the Chiefs do make the move with Nagy eventually, there'll probably be a little bit more time before they fill the quarterback spot too. On the staff, David Girardi is the most likely candidate. He's been the assistant quarterbacks coach under Nagy. He's a pretty logical candidate. He's an up-and-comer. He's a young guy. So he makes a lot of sense. Patrick Mahomes has spoken very highly of him. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the direction they go. However, I'm curious how they end up choosing to go and stacking that room also with a quarterback behind Mahomes. I mean, if they want to go with Shane Buechele as the backup behind Mahomes and not bring in another veteran, I could see them trying to, bring in maybe a former quarterback into that room. It could be another voice and a sounding board for everybody. So maybe they will go outside the box and go external for that quarterback's coach. I think there's a lot of different choices they could make. And like I said, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if there wasn't a connection between, whether they put another veteran on the roster as a backup quarterback, or whether they just want another former quarterback in that room as a coach.
We're talking with Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. You can check out Matt on Twitter at MattDerrick, as well as ChiefsDigest.com. This is our Herman's Meat and Smokehouse Chiefs Insider. All right. The off season today, or was it yesterday? The first day that you can franchise tag a player. What is the deadline to franchise tag them? Is it 2 weeks from today, I believe, or something of that nature? And what time will the Chiefs be tagging Orlando Brown?
Yeah, March 7th, I believe, is the deadline. And if I recall last year, I think the Chiefs ended up putting the tag on Orlando about 48 hours after Brett Veach at the Combine told us, well, we're still thinking about that. We'll see. So I think Brett Veach is talking at the Combine next Tuesday. So it wouldn't surprise me if immediately thereafter they end up putting the tag on Orlando Brown. That seems to be the direction it's going. I'd be very surprised if there's any other decision. That's really from a player standpoint. Could you make a case of using the tag on like a Juju Smith-Schuster? Sure, you could, but Orlando's the one that you need. That's the player that you need to have most control over. Whether he's a guy you want to keep or whether it's a guy you want to trade, you need to keep your options open. And certainly one of the options that the Chiefs have prepared for all along was the possibility of Orlando playing under a second tag. So I can't imagine anything getting done between these two sides between now and March 7th. So the franchise tag seems like a foregone conclusion.
Do you think someone would want to trade for Orlando Brown?
I can certainly see it because, one, he's coming off a really strong postseason game, postseason run even, not just the Super Bowl, but even just the entire playoff run. And he's got, seems like higher respect around the league than certainly he's gotten from Chiefs fans. Probably higher respect around the league than he gets from a lot of his grades like PFF and everything. He's been a Pro Bowler for a reason. There's players and organizations around the league that vote for him. They select him to that team. So, and even if you graded Orlando at his worst, you're saying he's maybe the 12th or 15th best tackle in the league. I think he's probably better than that. But if that's the case, then there's still half the teams in the league that be improved by having Orlando Brown on their squad. So, I think if the Chiefs wanted to move on, there's certainly a market. But I think at the same time, I think the Chiefs are interested in still being in the Orlando Brown business.
I think Orlando Brown's play over the last 7 to 8 games got him another year with the Chiefs, whether that is to a long-term deal or the franchise tag. I now am siding on he'll be in a Chief uniform next year. And if he isn't, it's because somebody or something ended up happening that the Chiefs said this is too good for us not to do. Whether that be, somebody falls in the draft or somebody offers something ridiculous in a trade. But I think he played well enough that you're willing to have the 1 year, $20 million cap hit for next year with Orlando Brown.
Yeah, the Chiefs they're not in a rebuilding mode. So this isn't about, getting just a guy there that you can develop. It's Patrick Mahomes' blind side. So you want the best possible candidate you can get there. So, unless the Chiefs, there's someone that they think is a can't-miss left tackle in this draft that they're willing to move up for. There's someone that they think that they can get a deal with in free agency that's done, possible. A trade that they can make. There are a lot of options, and there's some possible candidates out there. But it's hard to walk away from what you have in Orlando Brown if you don't know what the next answer is. Because no matter what you think of Orlando, the likelihood is that the next guy probably won't be as good. And, and that's no guarantee. The next guy might be a Hall of Famer, but you got to be prepared that there are worse things in this world than Orlando Brown as your left tackle.
So is that the number one issue right now? Is it Orlando Brown? Is it the backup quarterback? What's your list of off-season, I guess you could say the biggest emphasis, the biggest questions, needs, what they have to address checklist for the Chiefs?
I think you hit on a couple of them there. To me, the one simmering one that I'm just curious to see how it plays out over the next few weeks is Chris Jones. He's under contract for 23. He's got one more year left on his deal. About a $28 million cap hit with, I think, $19 million in cash due this year. That's a lot, but based on how Chris Jones played last year, I don't mind paying that. That wouldn't be a price I would care to mind. I mean, I'd absolutely keep him under that. Question is, does Chris Jones want to play under that? This is a very similar situation to what Tyreek Hill was last year in his contract.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the expectation was that they were going to get a deal done. Well, Tyreek was younger, and then you had the complications of all these other deals getting done. So, I mean, if Chris wants to maximize his free agency value, or at least maximize his contract value, I mean, this is the year to get it. Waiting one more year with him approaching 30, not ideal. So, I mean, I think this could end up playing exactly the way Tyreek did last year, unless the Chiefs extend Chris Jones. I mean, I think you got to be prepared for the possibility that Chris is going to want to try and explore his options.
The Chiefs can't let him go, though, right? I mean, I get
hard to do.
I get with Tyreek Hill, because you got 15, you got Mahomes. Like, I get that, and that's why after the shock value of, okay, the cheat ain't going to be here anymore, you go, well, we're going to bank on that Patrick Mahomes will make everyone around him better. He is that good. And he did. And he is. They don't have a Patrick Mahomes there on the defense if you let Chris Jones go. Like, he is the Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he is. I mean, and whatever you want to do with George Karlaftis and whatever else you want on the defensive line, some of it is based on Chris Jones. And yeah, you've got him for 23, but it's going to be, who is Chris Jones in 24, 25, and 26? Because I think that it's entirely possible. Maybe this ends up being a very peaceful offseason. I mean, and it could be maybe they do get a deal done, but you got to face the prospect of Chris Jones on with an ability to get an offer from another team. $60 million guaranteed, 5 years, $100 million plus, and frankly probably over $100 million wouldn't be out of the question. And so now you got to ask yourself, hey, is that something the Chiefs can afford? I mean, is that a luxury you can have when you do have Patrick Mahomes and you got to pay Orlando Brown and you're paying some other guys? Can you pay Chris Jones in his 30s that much money? That's going to be the question that Brett Veach has got to answer.
Yes. That would be my answer.
I would hate to see Chris Jones play anywhere else. Because,
yes.
I mean, with 2 rings and what he's done, I mean, is he a Hall of Famer? I mean, I think he's on the cusp of making it.
Yeah. I mean, he's been an all-pro twice. First team this year, was second team a couple years ago. I just look at that. I go, you got to build around somebody. You're going to pay 3 or 4 guys big time bucks. He's one of those guys that I would pay. That's just how I kind of look at it. All right, Matt, time for a little 2 for the road. Last 2 questions I've got for you. First one I have is, what position will the Chiefs draft with the 32nd pick in the NFL draft?
Ooh, really good question.
Oh, wait, 31st pick, beg your pardon. 31st.
Yeah, 31st. That'll be the 31st.
Dolphins don't have a pick, correct.
They literally could go anywhere, so it'll be best position available. But right now, I'm throwing my dart at wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Okay. All right. And what seed will the Missouri Tigers get in the NCAA tournament?
I love the fact that the premise of your question is that the Tigers are in the tournament. So
they're in, aren't they? Aren't they?
I'm scared to death. I saw a bracket the other day that had them like the first.
Looking at our friends at Bracket Matrix that has all 104 here, Missouri's confidently an average of an 8 seed, 8 to 9 seed. So, Matt, I would say, barring anything terrible befalling your Tigers the last weekend going to the SEC tournament, they should get in the door.
And I always feel like, hey, Mizzou's going to get lower than everybody thinks they are. So I will say, I feel like I need to say 11, but I will say 10.
All righty. Well, Matt, we appreciate it. Have yourself a great rest of the week, and enjoy kind of another slow week before Indianapolis rolls around in the combine.
Exactly. We'll be there next week, so I think I might be talking to you from Indy.
Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com. Fantastic. Coming up next, we got a lot to get to on the football world. Up on this Tuesday, Jake and Fulton along with Fulton Caster with you. We appreciate you stopping by. Let us know your thoughts on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Check us out on YouTube. And you can check us out on our website, 580www.com. The YouTube comment, it is in fact true. The Chiefs, the Royals have been eliminated from playoff contention.
No, they haven't. Games have not been played. Nope. Games have not been played.
Right now, the Royals make the playoffs.
They have the exact same odds as anyone else.
I love your optimism.
Will they do it? Probably not. Are they mathematically eliminated? Hell no. A game hasn't been played.
They've been mathematically eliminated.
No, that's not how that word works.
I think
that's not how that word works. If you want to say, like, looking at every factor, are their odds low? Sure. But using the word mathematically, which means can they mathematically be one of the top 7? Yeah, they can.
I don't know.
They have the exact same record as everyone else right now.
I don't know if you're like truly mad or not right now.
It's a little bit of both.
Because I'm the same way the other side. I'm like, I mean, I'm not probably wrong, but technically, in the black or white world, yes, they're not mathematically eliminated.
If we're going to use the word mathematically, that is wrong. If we're going to use that word, that is wrong.
In the gray area of
if we're going to say their odds to make it aren't great, or they probably won't because of X, Y, Z, sure, that's incredibly correct. But if we're going to use the word mathematically, it is a bold-faced lie to say they mathematically can't make it. As a bold-faced lie. Because every team right now is tied 1 through 32 at 0-0. 1 through 30.
I'm pretty confident to say that the Pirates are mathematically eliminated.
They are tied at 0-0 with every other team. Are you correct that they probably aren't making it? Yes. Are they mathematically still in it? Yes.
I like, I'm going to go with, yeah, they are. I'm going to go with they are mathematically eliminated.
They are not, though. Every team is 0-0.
Oh gosh, that's fantastic.
Goodness gracious. Use right words.
No, that's all right. Because
I will argue these semantics.
I will I'll die on that hill that the Pirates are eliminated. We're gonna talk more.
Well, now all of a sudden you're making me hope the Pirates make the playoffs. Gosh dang it, Jake.
I don't think you gotta worry about that.
I don't, but you're making me now want them to. And I don't want them to.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
I know.
Today is Fat Tuesday.
Yes.
Fat Tuesday.
It's what Mardi Gras means for those of you that never got the translation. It translates to Fat Tuesday.
So it's Fat Tuesday. So today's list, our favorite fat athletes.
This might be my favorite list we've ever done.
And
this is awesome.
We will get to our list. Let us know yours. Hit us up on the Big O Tires.
Who are your favorite hefty heroes?
That's right. Yeah, I prefer that. That's right. That's better put than fat athlete.
Our hefty heroes.
Our large and in charge athletes.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. So that'll be coming up here in just a little bit. From the Big O Tires text line, I do want to get this. Did you read what LaShawn McCoy said about Eric Bieniemy?
We've heard what Shady had to say.
We did hear what Shady had to say.
Doesn't surprise me.
And we also have heard, I think, every other Chiefs player who's not playing anymore.
Definitely heard what Jamal Charles and Jeff Allen have had to say.
And Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Ty chimed in.
Everyone who has been in that locker room basically is saying, yeah, LaShawn, nah, that ain't it, man.
I said this with Le'Veon Bell, I'll say with LaShawn McCoy. If you are saying something about somebody that every other player seems to like and everyone else is disagreeing with you, you might be the problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yep. That sounds about right.
Yeah, LaShawn McCoy basically said today, he doesn't know if EB has certain traits to be a head coach, and that's the problem.
He says he has no control in the passing game and all that kind of
yada,
stuff.
Yada. When literally everyone else said they respectfully disagreed.
Yeah.
And as someone I think pointed out very well, EB's best trait is that he doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, he's going to coach you hard if you're doing something wrong. And I did see a great joke that was LaShawn just got mad because EB told him to actually learn to tuck a football when he runs.
Yeah, that's what Tyreek Hill said.
Oh, yeah. It was Ty? Okay.
Yeah,
I honestly can't remember.
Tyreek.
But no, that's like
Shady just mad that he told him to
tuck the ball.
Tuck the football away. Even Chris Harris was laughing at that.
Yeah, I give no stock to what LaShawn McCoy had to say. He's probably just mad because he was inactive in the Super Bowl because he wasn't playing well. Yeah. And because EB held him accountable.
We'll stay with the NFL. I do not follow and do not care about the XFL.
All I can tell you is just so for our good man Brandon Rosinski, call is the law.
Great. Sure. But there is something I will not watch a single snap of XFL or USFL football.
USFL, that's fine. XFL, watch that. It's kind of fun.
No, it's all right. I got other things to do.
Okay. But golf is picking up.
You can't literally. I'd rather watch a rerun of something else. I get enough football. I do think that the NFL could learn something from what they're doing.
Yes.
Mainly the transparency in the replay booth.
Mm-hmm.
I did not watch it, but I can, it pops up on a social media
so you can see the social media feeds that discuss it.
Dean Blandino is sitting there going through a play and he's mic'd up on the broadcast. And you can see how they go about it. It's okay. Yep, I got a good catch. I got 2 feet in. All right, that's taken care of. Don't worry about that anymore. Let's look at the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's look at the time, and let's go from there. Transparency is a great thing because it gets rid of the people who are like, NFL's rigged.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
But the NFL will never do that.
Nope.
And the reason why is because they don't need to. And they don't want you to see behind the curtain. Yeah. They don't want you to see how the sausage is made.
No, of course not.
So that's why I don't think it'll ever happen.
No.
The other two things that are interesting about the XFL, I dislike the go for 1, go for 2, or go for 3.
You don't like the 3-point conversion?
I don't like that because I think 3 points from the 10-yard line is too much, too impactful.
I can hear that
because
argument.
To me, it would get rid of every other attempt, essentially.
Yeah.
Because if you get 3 from the 10, if you were the Chiefs, you'd go for 3 points every single time. Why would you ever kick it? Because all you have to do is convert one of those plays every 3 touchdowns you score. The odds of the Chiefs converting one of those 3, and if you convert one of those 3, then you're good. I think it's too big of a swing.
Yeah.
I do. I think that's too much.
And I think that one's efficiency comes into question when you get better offenses playing, because I think in the XFL it's perfect because of the quality of the football being played.
Correct.
I think at the NFL level it's a bit different. No, but I like the biggest thing when it comes to the XFL is they have so many rules the NFL should adopt. So the 3-point rule might be the only rule of theirs. I don't think the NFL should adopt.
That's a bit too much for me. That's too much.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Either it's a 2-point conversion and you do it from the 3, or it's a PAT. I don't like that one.
That's fine.
Transparency from the booth. Yes,
agreed. 100%.
Love it. It'll never happen.
No, but it'd be great.
Onside kick on the 4th and 15.
The best rule.
If you want to make it more fluctuating at the end of a game.
If you want to make it realistic for teams to come back from late big deficits.
Well, to me, it's not so much that. It's, do you want to give them the opportunity, or do you feel like, you know what? The first 58 minutes of the game, they didn't do enough to have a chance at getting back in this game. And so, therefore, I'm not going to give them the leeway. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I get it. Here's always been my thing, and I view this from a perspective, and I guess this is also mainly just from a fan's perspective as well, because I get it from a really X's and O's, we'll just play better for 58 minutes, and you know, to rely on an onside kick. Fans want action. Find me a fan who does not love a game coming down at the end, coming to a team trying to make a game-winning drive. Find me a fan who doesn't like that, and you will find the first one.
Well, we found out that fans definitely love that because that's what they got taken away from in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And they're still complaining about it.
Like, a part of just the flag being called and people being mad about, you know, people wanted to see Jalen Hurts with a chance to make a drive.
I definitely did not.
Well, okay, non-Chiefs fans.
Okay.
Chiefs fans, yes, we wanted it over because we didn't need the stress.
Correct.
But, like, when you don't have skin in the game, you just want to see when I have no betting interest in a game, and I have nothing but I'm just watching football to watch football. I love it when it ends on a team going for a game-winning drive. That is the most excitement that can exist. If you make the onside more realistic, then you've now made it to where it can happen.
Easy, don't be hitting the microphone here.
So that's why I'm for the 4th and 15.
Real quick, what are some of the other rules?
NFL needs to drop the XFL's kickoff.
What's that?
They have you have your kicker kicking off, you have your returner back near the goal line, and then the two lines stand 10 yards apart.
10 yards apart, yeah.
Because you know what that does? One, it actually can kind of lead to some better chances for kickoff returns. Two, you lower so many injuries. Because the injuries on kickoff are all about the high-speed collision. Yeah. You've now limited the high-speed collision. The NFL should do that kickoff. The XFL is fixed to the kickoff, and no one wants to point that out.
I don't think that's I think the kickoff is fine right now in the NFL, and the reason why is because they don't care about the kickoff anymore. I mean, it's very plain to see.
But like,
they're fine with it just to get rid of it.
And that thing is like, it's either get rid of it or do what the XFL does. Because if you're going to have the play, it should have the potential for the excitement that it can create. Because what's one of the more exciting plays? And how exciting are long punt returns and long kickoff returns? They are very exciting.
I really appreciate long punt returns in Super Bowl.
Yes, so do I. Yeah. Especially longest punt return in Super Bowl history. Very fun.
I want to get to college real quick. College football might be adopting some new rules, and one of them I am completely in favor for. The other I could not be more against. Now there is apparently some anger towards the length of college football games. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news for people. It has nothing to do with the length of college football games. Nobody cares about the length of college football games. You want to know why? Because there's only 12 of them that happen in the regular season.
Yeah,
okay, it's not baseball. Nobody cares. You want to know who cares? People who care are Fox, ESPN, CBS.
No, the networks care.
Because they don't want overlapping games. They don't want a game to start at 11 and not get done until 3. And we've already got a game scheduled at 2:30.
Yeah.
That's the reason why, okay?
Which they could also solve that by just scheduling better.
Well, or they can keep the same amount of breaks and just shorten the game. And how do they shorten the game? Well, it's very simple. You can do one of two things. You don't stop the clock after an incompletion. Anytime I throw a pass, incomplete, clock stops. They'd say, just keep the clock going.
Which is stupid.
Which would eliminate half the damn game. That would eliminate so many plays. That would almost cut the plays in a third because of how many times there's an incomplete pass. Or you don't stop the clock after a first down until the last 2 minutes of the game.
That is what they should do.
That's what they should do. And I hope that's what they do. If they do the whole stop the clock after, don't stop the clock, just keep it rolling, essentially, until, the end of the first half and the end of the game.
If we just play the game with a running clock, that's very stupid.
It's going to go by so fast.
It will, and it's not the way the game should be played.
The NFL has it perfect. Literally perfect.
Yeah.
It's a 3-hour game. Except I like stopping the clock for college because in the pros, they're pros. They're supposed to be better at this.
Yeah, I'm cool if we want to say in 2-minute scenarios,
yes,
we can go to stopping clock at first downs. I'm cool with that because these like with college kids, it's different. But no, the rest of the game, I don't need that clock stopping for a first down at the 12-10 mark of the first quarter.
No.
Why is that clock stopping?
So,
Why? No, that I will agree with.
That's why I hope that they do after 10 minutes or 2 minutes to go in the game, 2 minutes to go at halftime, first downs, stop the clock.
Outside of that, keep rolling.
I do like that.
Yeah,
I really do. I hope they don't get too egregious. And they're trying to what's so hilarious to me is that they're trying to push, well, it's more plays. They're not safe. It's not safe because of more plays. No, that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to shorten the game and keep the same amount of ad revenue because you're going to take the same amount of commercial breaks. If the clock doesn't stop after incompletions, that doesn't change anything except for fewer plays.
I've never heard anyone complain about the length of a college football game outside of people saying when they start overlapping, and the complaint never goes to the game itself. It goes to yelling at the networks for not scheduling it right.
And
no fan is complaining about the length of a college football game.
Nobody is. Nobody's complaining about the length of a college football game.
The thing you should do is just eliminate the constant stop to the first down. That's the only change you need to make. Outside of that, college football just takes longer.
But miss me with
lying about safety.
And you got people talking about, well, their healthcare plans are not any better and all that kind of.
Shut up.
It isn't. It is just to keep it tighter to a window so they can sell more ads. It's all about the dollar. But remember, we got to make sure we can't include the players for that. Coming up next, big folk. It's Fat Tuesday. Who's our favorite big athletes? We'll get to that next. This Fat Tuesday. So, with that being said, we are going to go with our favorite, the biggies, the big boys. So, give me your favorite fat athletes of all time.
Number 4 for me, because he is currently holding down the fort for very large and in charge and rotund baseball players. My man, Daniel Vogelback, who seems to get larger with every new team he plays for. Just every time I see him, he's gotten bigger. Fantastic.
Number 4 for me, that is Rookie of the Year, Bob the Hammer Hamlin, baby. I remember Bob Hamlin back in the day. Man, that dude was large, man. Bob Hamlin. What a rookie year that he had for the Kansas City Royals. His rookie year, Rookie of the Year, he bopped 24 dingers back in 94. 10-year-old Jake was just loved me some Bob Hamlin. He had an OPS plus of 147.
Nice.
Bob Hamlin, low key.
Kind of nice with it.
Had one good year.
Kind of nice with it for that 1 year. Number 3 for me, Vince Wilfork. Love Vince Wilfork, man.
Vince Wilfork's my number 3.
Vince Wilfork was awesome. He was great. And just a large man.
My favorite Vince Wilfork had nothing to do with football. It's when he retired and he's outside grilling in just these tiny overalls. Yep. He's just having a great time.
Just a bunch of man spilling out of overalls.
Awesome. Vince Wilfork. Oh, so
Vince Wilfork is the legend. Good. Number 2 for me, RIP to the GOAT, the hefty lefty Jared Lorenzen.
My number 2, and the reason why I love this guy is because when he played, this was like when I just loved college basketball, but he was a monster. Rest in peace, Robert Tractor Trailer. Yeah. Man, when he played for Michigan, he was so good. He was the 6th overall pick. He passed away, but he was awesome. I remember one time he was grabbing like 3 rebounds in a row and his pants fell down. That was hilarious. Robert Tractor Trailer.
No, that's going. Number 1 for me, incredibly easy. It is Big Sexy. It is Bartolo Colon. The greatest hefty athlete ever. He started off not hefty, but then his truly great years came when he was large, in charge, and still weirdly athletic, making weird flips with his glove while rolling around like a bowling ball. When he hit a home run, I was so happy.
He had a dual life.
Yes.
It's wild.
I love Bartolo so much. He's still playing ball down in the Dominican, I think.
Whenever I think of big athletes, there's only one guy that I immediately thought of. And he played for the Kansas Jayhawks. Gilbert Brown, baby. Gilbert Brown was like 6'2", 370. And when he played in the NFL, you didn't even see like his face is like, oh God, Gilbert Brown. You are terrific. Packer legend, Gilbert Brown. What a monster. Coming up, Dan Lucero will hop in for a little crosstalk. Questions from the Big O Tires text line for our favorite hefty heroes. That sounds so much better, Fulton. I'm with you on that.
Yes, they're hefty heroes.
Than fat athletes. We've
they're
gotten
hefty heroes.
a few of those. So let us know, because it is Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. So we wanted to give the love to the big boys, and so a few of them from the Big O Tires text line. I thought you'd say Babe Ruth, CC Sabathia. Now CC is no longer a big fella.
CC prior to cutting out cereal, was a big man.
Yeah.
And then he said he had to get rid of the Captain Crunch because he'd look at it and just look too good.
Yeah. And then someone from the Big O Tires text line said, no William the Refrigerator Perry. Oh, you youngsters. Yes. What we do on this show is we go with what we have seen.
Usually for the most part.
Because we were not around when the Fridge, who, by the way, great storyline and everything. But the fact that arguably the greatest running back in NFL history didn't score in the Super Bowl bothers me. And that Ditka gave the ball to the Fridge does kind of semi-bother me, even though I was 1 year old at the time. But yes, that's why I was one.
There are a lot of options here, gang,
Yes.
and sometimes we go more modern.
Yes.
Hence me also giving love to the man holding it down for the Hefties right now, Daniel Vogelback.
Yeah.
He is our only fat baseball player legend right now, and we need more.
Well, I gave you a fat baseball legend, the Hammer.
I currently playing.
Okay, because Bob the Hammer Hamlin, man, what a monster. He's listed here. 6'1", 240. His left leg, maybe.
It's like when Doak was listed at like 265. That was just a lie.
Yeah, exactly. Let's bring in Dan Lucero joining us here from 580 Sports Talk. All right, Dan. Kudos to you. Dan was the one who gave us the idea today.
We have to give credit to Dan for the idea of the hefty heroes for today.
So I said, Dan, today's Mardi Gras. What can we do? And he goes, well, it's Fat Tuesday. Do fat people. And I said, I love it.
Let's party.
I prefer the chubby baller.
Okay.
That's a good one. No, that's a good one.
Give me your one or two chubby ballers that you would list.
Did either of you guys bring up Oliver Miller?
No.
NBA player in the 90s. Played at Arkansas. Played most notably for the Phoenix Suns.
Oliver Miller.
I'm
Is that back when he played with like Nolan Richardson back in like
he played for Nolan Richardson, not the championship teams, but yeah, Oliver Miller. They called him the Big O.
That's Big Boy.
Wait, they can't be the Big O.
No, he was the Big O.
he's the large man.
He is listed here at 6'9", 280.
280. Right.
The picture they show of him, that's a large individual.
No,
Now-
I don't remember the big O. That big O.
Yeah, he was a big dude.
Yeah.
Oliver Miller, big guy. I like the guys, especially who it doesn't look like they should be able to do the things like like the basketball players with the not
that's
great
why
bodies.
that tractor trailer, man.
Yeah,
That dude was
tractor
a
trailer's a
stud
great
at
answer.
Michigan.
Vince
Wolford, great. That was Gilbert Brown. That dude swallowed up people.
Yes, Gilbert Brown would be on my list. Remember Levon Kirkland,
Yes.
middle linebacker
Yep.
for the Steelers?
Yep.
Weighed like 280,
That-
and he was an all-pro middle linebacker.
That dude had no reason to run that fast.
You imagine a 280-pound middle linebacker in today's NFL. You can't. You
Totally.
can't. It would not happen. But,
Nick Bolton's like one of the bigger ones nowadays.
Nick Bolton's 5'11".
Well, like Bobby Wagner's like the last like old school big middle linebacker.
I think you're underestimating the size of middle linebackers nowadays, or I am overestimating the size of middle linebackers.
They're not
nowadays.
big anymore. They're not the Brian Urlachers who are like 6'4", 250.
Also got to shout out former Red, Brave, Brewer, and Blue Jay Juan Francisco, who's still kicking around in the Mexican leagues. And he is a big, big gentleman. He wears for his team in the Mexican leagues, he wears number 111.
Ooh.
So,
Wait, what?
Yeah, the Mexican leagues have triple digits.
so he wears
What?
triple
Yes.
ones. He's 3 sticks in Mexico.
Yes. That's
But-
hysterical.
But
It's amazing.
How about a good one from the Big O Tires text line? David Wells.
Boomer Wells, absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, I love that. That's
Now-
a great one.
Not a lot of big, like hefty starters, like relievers. You think of like big relievers, like Charlie Kerfeld had a terrible body, but was one of the best relievers of the 80s, pitched for the Astros
Yeah.
in the 80s. Ray King was an effective left-handed reliever for a long time. Cardinals, Rockies, had a long career. Dennis Reyes is another one.
Like no one mentioned the fielders. Like Prince.
Yeah,
and,
Prince
and
was
Prince
a round
Cecil.
boy.
Yeah, Cecil and Prince Fielder.
Cecil was a big
Yeah,
boy.
The
Cecil was big.
longest home run I ever saw in person in my life. I swear to you. I never got like an official distance on the home run, but I saw Prince Fielder as he was coming up. I saw him in AAA. He was playing for Nashville, and they were playing in Colorado Springs. This is when the Rockies affiliate was still in Colorado Springs. And he hit a home run in a night game off of some right-handed reliever for Colorado Springs. You have the light stanchions in the corners at Sky Sox Stadium, which was called then. And that ball was still rising when it disappeared beyond the stanchions. Like, he pulled it down the right
He
field
was
line,
big.
and it was still going up. Like, you could tell me that ball went 800 feet, I'd believe it. He was
Well, the only thing
big guy.
when I
but
think-
man, he could stroke it.
when I think of Prince Fielder, all I think about is the highlight of him doing the inside the park home run, and he's
He's
head is
hustling.
bobbing forward.
He is
Like,
hustling.
You get the big, you get the belly going, and everything else will follow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
that's true.
Prince Fielder. Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, I love Prince Fielder, man.
John Daly.
Yeah.
John Daly was like, for golf, he was big,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and everything is relative. Pablo Sandoval from the
The Panda.
Big
Panda
O Tires,
counts.
text line.
If you ever bust your belt while swinging a bat, you're
Yeah.
qualified to being
Yep.
a chubby balder.
That's an important qualifier that John Daly was big for golf because, like, remember Jumbo Ozaki?
yeah,
He only weighed like 200
no,
pounds.
he's not big. That's
He
for
was
golf.
Yeah,
It's for
he was
golf.
5'11",
Yeah.
200 pounds. Like,
Yeah.
that was jumbo for professional golf.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, this has been a fantastic.
Oh, it's been a
topic of
great
discussion.
segment. I'm so happy.
And keep them coming. From the Big O Tires.
What
text
about-
line.
You already mentioned Bob the Hammer.
Yeah.
Maybe the most notable.
If you say Ken Harvey, I'm gonna smack you.
No, I'm not going to bring up Ken Harvey. I'm going to
Okay.
bring up my favorite chief chubby baller of all time.
Dan Saliamua. I got way too excited to say Dan Saliamua.
You
right
did.
there. But that
Good
would
Lord.
be my guy. That would be my guy. Dan Saliamua.
Dontari Poe,
Oh yeah. Don't try, man. He was so big.
the hungry pig.
Yeah.
I did
He
I
threw a
did love
touchdown
Dontari
pass.
Poe.
Dontari
Also,
Poe threw a touchdown
Dontari
pass.
Poe qualifies as a guy, a big man with athleticism that shouldn't
Yes,
count.
yes.
With how big that man was, he never got tired.
Well,
I to
that-
this day, you could not convince me I've ever seen that man play football tired. And he weighed
That's
like
a great
320.
one.
Yeah, he blew up the combine. Nobody knew what to do with him.
Yeah.
Like the numbers he put up at the combine. That's how he ended up top 10 pick?
No, I thought he was like.
No, I think
Let's find out.
he got drafted pretty high.
I'll get him pulled up here. I have the page open. He was 11th overall.
Okay, just outside.
So
yeah,
Dan was
you're
off
way
by
wrong,
one
Dan.
spot.
Yeah, you're way
Horrid.
wrong. You're
Dang,
terrible,
Dan. He was
What the hell?
11, not 10.
His Wikipedia has him at 6'3", 346, and he ran a sub 540. I don't think I could have run a sub 540 at my most athletic.
I know I couldn't.
Dan Salimua. I love Dan Salimua growing up, man. He was the big boy up front. I got way too excited about that.
Craig Stadler. There's a golfer in the YouTube comments.
Yes, the Walrus.
The Walrus.
Yes.
Again, you don't get that kind of nickname.
Now, he actually was pretty big in general.
Like the guys today who lift now, nobody's calling them the Walrus.
No.
From the Big O Terrors text line, BJ Raji with Packers.
Yeah, BJ Raji's a great
a big boy.
All those those space-eating nose tackles in the 3-4 that were really in
dudes.
vogue in the 2000, like Casey Hampton's another one.
Yep. Gilbert Brown was the OG. That's why, and the fact that he went and played at KU.
Who was the one who played? There was one who played for the Lions, I think, who was huge.
Oh,
but
I think you're right.
Larry Allen is a great answer.
Yeah. Former Chief Willie Rofe.
Willie Rofe.
Yeah, Willie Rofe. Good answer.
Was honestly, he might have been the most athletic Chief when he played. He was like a dancing bear.
It's hard to give it to offensive linemen, especially offensive tackles, because they're just built like houses, and they manage to sculpt it and wear it and make it so it's just this impenetrable force. Guards are the ones that have the bellies. Like guards and centers, they keep the bellies a little bit, but like Larry Allen was the best athlete on the field every time he took the field.
I still think one of the most incredible highlights of all time is when Troy Aikman threw an interception and Larry Allen, from a dead standstill, took off running and tackled, I think it was a Philadelphia Eagle before he got into the end zone.
John Madden about his brain almost exploded on television.
I mean, and then you watch him run, and you're just like, that man weighs 350 pounds, and he is just hawking this middle linebacker.
There is nothing better than watching men that are well above 300 pounds. Just, fly down a field.
That and Larry Allen hopping on the incline bench press at the Pro Bowl one time, and he's got like a cigar in his mouth. He takes it out, sits there, he's like in jeans and Timberlands, and he sits down. It's got 225, and he is just absolutely. I think he repped 50 on an incline at 225, and everybody just watching it is just shaking their head, going,
"What is this?
That's not even." Like, how is that even allowed? That shouldn't be allowed.
He was the strongest guy and the best athlete every time he took the field.
That was hysterical.
Alrighty,
Dan, got to get your take on hoops.
Okay.
How big of a game is this for K-State? Is this really important? Not important? Is it almost house money? I don't think it is because it's a home game, but if you win, oh man, I think that locks into you potentially top 4 seed. No questions asked.
Yes.
If you beat Baylor, if you lose,
you go get another,
not a huge loss.
You go get another quad 1 win at home and beat a team that a lot of people thought was the hottest team in the Big 12 entering Saturday when they lost to Kansas. That would do wonders for Kansas State, because I think a lot of people maybe have looked at Kansas State and see a team right now that, they haven't swept anybody in league play, which is good. Like, you haven't been swept either, so that's a positive, but they haven't swept anybody in league play. They've turned around and they've taken some losses to teams that they beat the first time around. So I think some of the perception of Kansas State might be, they were hot early, and then maybe the league caught on and figured them out a little bit, and they weren't quite as good down the stretch. Beating Baylor and being able to say, hey, we got to sweep a Baylor, that's a big deal. And I think not only do I think that would lock in a top 4 NCAA tournament seed, I think that would lock in a top 3 NCAA tournament seed.
You think they're going to win one of their next 3 at least, so you'd finish
at least one.
So you'd finish 10-8 in conference play. You end up with 20 wins, probably the 4 seed, maybe the 3, maybe you get 1 win there. Real quick, all right. KU has the most quad 1 wins with 14, which is stupid. That's why they should be the number 1 seed.
Oh, yeah,
they
number 1 overall.
Momentum
is building for that.
But the fact that they've got Alabama at the 1 seed and then Houston at the 2 seed, if you go by this, and we're supposed to go by net, right? That's the one big negative to the committee, is they don't have something that the fan can follow. Well, right now, you look at it, KU has 14 quad 1 wins. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The next team is Baylor with 9. 9. They've got 5 more quad 1 wins. Now, Baylor can add to that if they beat K-State, because K-State. But a fun fact here, K-State, they're number 6 with 7 behind Texas, Purdue, and Iowa State. And if K-State wins, they're tied with Iowa State. And they did it like that. That's why I think you might be right that they might lock in a 3 seed, as long as they don't lose out, beat either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State or West Virginia or something like that. But how can you have Houston, and I understand Houston's schedule is they play in the American, and I understand that. They've got 4 quad 1 wins. If we're supposed to be like, oh, well, strength of schedule matters, and you're sitting here at KU and you got 14 quad 1 wins, how are they not the number 1 overall seed right now?
Yeah, it is mystifying to me. I don't really understand it. I don't understand how you can argue that Arizona or Purdue deserve a higher seed. I watched Purdue play Ohio State on Sunday. Zach Edey is great. Like everything you've heard about Zach Edey, if you haven't watched, 7'4", he can score whenever he touches the ball because nobody can deny him position. Because again, he's 7'4". He's
a big dude too.
He's a mountain. He's got good touch around the rim. He can make his free throws.
He's not like skinny Naquan Tomlin.
Impactful defensively. Like, yeah, he's going to win National Player of the Year, and I think he'll sweep the National Player of the Year awards, and deservedly so. I'm not sure the other 4 Purdue players know how to like dribble a basketball. Like, I am so unimpressed with that Purdue team. I could not be less impressed.
At least they got quad 1. They're 9-4 in quad 1.
They are.
They're 24-4. Like, I get that. Whereas Houston, come on.
Like, I'm exaggerating. I just don't think that's a great team. I really don't. I think it's a good team with a great player. And in this year of parity in college basketball, yeah, that gets you 1 seed. But I don't know how you would put them on the seed table above Kansas, given what they go through, the gauntlet they have to go through in their conference.
You mean the Big Ten? Oh my God.
Big Ten's got a bunch of okay teams.
Exactly.
Like Ohio State, man. Did you know Ice Likely's playing for Ohio State? Former Oklahoma State guard.
Wait, man, he's still playing ball?
He's still playing college basketball.
How does he have eligibility?
Yeah. Or Isaac, yeah.
I don't.
How?
COVID.
Yeah,
that's how.
Yeah.
The COVID year really threw off the perception of like, we couldn't make Perry Ellis jokes about this class of guys because, oh, yeah, they all got the COVID year. But no, Ice Likely is still playing college basketball, and he is playing like big minutes for Ohio State. So if you wonder why they stink.
That's why, because, that's why Oklahoma State stunk. Like, I'm with it. I think Kansas right now probably should get some real conversation. Here's my thing on Houston, because I know this has kind of become a talking point, people. I get the quad 1 wins are low because they play in the American. They have some close wins that they shouldn't be dealing with. When you watch that team play and you look at all the metrics that you can say all you want about the schedule, when you look at how they have played, regardless of the opponent on the court and what type of team they are, they deserve to be a 1 seed, and they're right up there with it.
I'm not saying that they're like bums. I'm just, to me, that's so drastic.
Yes, to me, Kansas is a team with a better resume than Houston.
Yeah, and I don't disagree on resume, but watching
and
if this is the version of Kansas that we're going to get the rest of the way, then I would even argue that this version of Kansas might be a better team on the floor than Houston. But that's my thing with Houston is resume. Yes, I think you can make a lot of comments about where they stand resume-wise. You watch Houston play basketball, though. They're a top 10 team on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
I think they're 4th offensively in the Ken Palm. This is not,
I believe they're 4th offensively, 8th defensively, or they're reversed the 2.
This isn't the Houston team that went to the COVID year Final Four and they were just they beat you in rock fights. Like, no, they can really score. They've got Sasser, they got Jarris Walker. That's a really, really outstanding team, and they play Kansas stuff for 48 minutes. But again, Kansas is building that resume week in, week out, night in, night out in the Big 12 in a way that Houston, and this is just the way it is now, that Houston doesn't have a chance to do that in the AAC.
And they'll get a chance to do it next year.
Yes, they will.
Houston joins, which also, think about how tough the Big 12 is this year. Houston, of all teams, is joining this next year. Like, good Lord.
What do you suppose the line is for KU Baylor or K-State Baylor?
I think K-State's a 1-point dog.
They were a 2.5-point dog. It is now down to 1.5.
It opened at 1.
Yeah, so it got
late
up to
last
2.
night.
Because I looked at it last night and it said 2.5. Now it's down to 1.5. So Cats plus 1.5.
This is my question for tonight's game, and I'll be there, and we'll have coverage. We'll have an instant react video on our YouTube page, all that stuff after the game. But my question is, if KU shut down Baylor in the second half of their game because they stopped switching on defense and they just made the guards beat the guards mano a mano, K-State's not going to do that. K-State's going to switch because that's what they do.
That's who
their
they are.
defensive philosophy. Can they keep Baylor from going nuts from the three-point arc? Like, if Baylor makes 9, 10, 11 threes, I don't think K-State, on current form especially, can keep up with that. K-State is struggling to score right now. But Baylor's not a great defensive team. Maybe this is a get-right game for K-State's offense.
K-State at home is different, except for the 20 minutes that they played against Texas. The last 20 minutes against Texas, they forgot how to dribble a basketball. But I think this is a huge game for K-State. If they don't win, I don't think, it's a bad situation. I think that's why
it's not the end of the world. Baylor's probably on paper a better team, but you want to be able to protect your home court.
Yeah. I think long term for K-State, it's more to gain than more to lose. But I think Chachua brings a whole different animal in a game like this for Baylor, because K-State doesn't have big guys. They don't. Tomlin ain't that guy, and Igiola's not that guy.
They're better with Gasson on the floor. The question is going to be how long can they keep him on the floor? Because I think when Gasson's on the floor, that's their best five is when he's playing the five.
Alrighty, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. What new rule in baseball? Because we're going to get into that here to start the 2:00 hour.
Okay.
What new rule in baseball do you like? There's a bunch of them. There's a lot of them.
A lot of new rules. I'm ambivalent on the size of the bases. For player safety, that'll probably be a plus, but I don't really care about like how it affects stealing or whatever.
You don't think 3 inches matters, Dan?
I'm okay with the pitch clock. Like, I really am. I'm okay with that. So I guess that would be the one that
pitch clock. Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Get up on the mound, throw the ball. Get in the batter's box, get up on the mound, throw the ball.
Mark Burley.
We've gone way too far in the wrong direction on that. You get it and go. You not recharge your stamina bar so you can throw a 98-mile-an-hour slider that breaks 2 feet. Now get up there and go. And if you can't handle it, then maybe take a little bit of the edge off. Throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Dan, appreciate the time.
You bet.
Coming up, we'll talk a little MLB and new rules here on Mic'd Up. Mic'd up. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake Lamont along with Fulton Caster. Want to thank Matt, Derek, Dan Lazaro for coming on, talking all things Chiefs and, well, the big boys of the world of sports. We're going to get into plenty of Royals talk. The Royals' very first spring training game, February 24th, down in Surprise against Dayton Moore's new team, the Texas Rangers. How about that? Kansas City Royals first full squad workout was yesterday. We're going to get to odds makers. We will also talk a little bit of Big 12 hoops, but we're going to talk a little Royals baseball. Hit us up on the Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Very simple, very easy. Check us out on YouTube. You can go to our website, 580wibw.com as well. But with baseball starting up, there are a few things that I am interested in when it comes to the Royals this year. This is a completely new leadership group for the Royals, starting with JJ Piccolo and what he is planning to do, all the way down from the manager to the pitching coach to even how they're going to go about this when it comes to pitching. And I thought it was interesting seeing this coming from Surprise. That
Would you call it a surprise?
I would.
I promise that's the only one I'm going to do. I promise that's the only one I'm ever going to do.
I liked it. Matt Quatraro was asked what the players wanted. And he said communication, which I think is what we do best. If that isn't a shot to the previous manager and pitching coach, I ain't got none for you. The fact that they said, what do you want most? And Matt Quatraro said communication. And everyone that you talk to says that that is what he does. Very open, honest, simple. And that, I think, is the opposite of Mike Matheny and Cal Eldred.
The complete opposite, given what we've been able to have heard and see. Complete opposite is there was no communication.
And so I think there is hope. You know, we joked earlier and I said, well, the Royals have been eliminated from the playoffs already on February 21st. And I don't expect them to make the playoffs.
No.
But the one thing that is so true in baseball, even more so than in football, when a new head coach takes over and a new OC and all that kind of stuff, it's still not the same as the belief in, well, it could be a lot different with new leadership in baseball. For some reason, in baseball, I look at this as they could really change a lot of things, because in baseball, I think there are so many more minor tweaks in technique and in leadership and in certain ways that you can run a ball club and how you do things with a bullpen, with how you sub. It's completely different. And so a part of me feels like, you know what? Daniel Lynch might take off this year. I've got a better feeling and better hope for Daniel Lynch to take off this year than, say, the Arizona Cardinals and, you know, Jonathan Gannon has to figuring out that defense. I don't, because in football, You can only do so much with what you got. Whereas baseball, we know Daniel Lynch has got nasty stuff.
Yeah.
We know that Jackson Kowar has got nasty stuff. Maybe these guys, because the track record that this group has with what they did with the Rays and what Quatraro did with the Guardians, that makes you believe a little bit more. So this year, I am going it with a bit of a more of an open mind.
Yeah.
But I'm still talent's talent. I mean,
Yeah.
Justin Verlander was probably going to succeed if you had Cal Eldred as his pitching coach. And so that's the reason why talent still trumps everything. But I feel like this is a little bit different.
And what my advice to any Royals fan out there is treat this with healthy skepticism. Like, do not just assume this is just because of what has happened before, that you need to be resigned to the fact of, oh, well, it's just been the same old crappy ball club. They'll, barely win, not even get close to 70 games, and they're going to suck and give up a billion runs. And don't just resign yourself to that thought process, because when an entire leadership structure changes, that truly can change everything. I have talked about this at length, and it transcends sports. The first step to rebuilding a team is culture. It's getting the proper culture inside the building. That's what I said about different sport. That's what I said about K-State all offseason, K-State basketball. Was their first step was, and that was my thing with Jerome Tang, was like, before he had ever coached a game as head coach, I was like, he at least has changed the culture in that building, which is that is the biggest step. And K-State took off.
Man,
I'm not saying
Jerome Tang is awesome.
Jerome Tang. I love Jerome Tang.
Yeah, awesome.
God, I love that man. And I'm not saying like, oh, all of a sudden expect the Royals just because there's a better culture in the clubhouse that they're going to win 85 games, challenge for the Central title, and go to the playoffs. I'm not going that far, because you're right. At a certain level, talent still matters. But with the fact that there seems to be, on all indications, a change in the culture with this team. There seems to be, with all indications, players buying in. These young pitchers who are the crux of their success all depends. Like, we know the hitters are going to hit. Bobby's going to take a step forward. Vinny's going to take a step forward. At least with those two, you have to imagine MJ is going to be able to try and take some steps forward. Like,
I'm not there with you on that.
The thing is, though, that talent has been more identifiable and seeing results at the big league level than the pitching talent.
That is where I've got scar tissue built up, and sophomore years for some people, not great.
And sophomore slumps are a real thing, and we'll see what they do. Yeah. Like, it's not just, I think those guys will take steps forward, but we'll see. Pitching is where this still all goes. Talk to any of these young pitchers. They are all glowing about what's happening because it's kind of been confirmed. The Royals pushed back on it with that big report by Alec Lewis and a couple of the writers about, the Royals pitching process. Now it seemed very cookie cutter, like just one plan everyone goes through. It's not personalized. The Royals pushed back on it, but when you hear the players talk, it kind of was the thing they were doing. Daniel Lynch has gone on record numerous times about how there are personalized plans now. The data is more present than it's ever been. That it's, it's not about, the Royals were big about, everyone needs to do this specific thing. Well, it's like, no, it's, what do you need to do for you to be successful?
Which, to me, in the year of our Lord, 2021,
that's the way everyone should be doing it. And the fact that the Royals were so behind,
it's
asinine.
You want to know what that is? The Royals were operating like Southwest did with their operating system.
Honestly, it's a comparison.
That's exactly, everyone who, when we find out now what went down with the Southwest situation is because their operating system is based out of like 1990. Okay.
Yeah,
and now the Royals are like, who even thinks that now? Even like if I go talk to Coach Ballard and I'm like, oh yeah, so you got one blueprint for your basketball team. And everybody has to follow that blueprint. He'd look at me like I got a third head, like not a second head, a third one.
Like, everyone wants to complain and use the boogeyman word of analytics and about how all the numbers are ruining sports. They're not, though. They're just teaching us all how to better do things. Like, baseball has become so data driven, and I know there are people that hate that. The thing is, though, especially with pitching, the data is what's letting a lot of these guys all of a sudden become great with these minor tweaks, because pitching specifically is so related to these minor things that can make gigantic wonders for you.
Here,
And you need the data to do it.
I'll relate it to this. Did you ever take like the Briggs and Stratton, personality exam?
Yeah, of course I did. I was one of those people.
Well, not one of those, like people.
Yeah, no, everyone did. It became a big
Yeah.
became a big thing everyone wanted to do.
Yeah,
of
like,
course.
a lot of teams do that, or, you take personality tests.
Yeah.
To find out, are you a yeller and a screamer? Are you if somebody yells at you, you go to a show.
You need to find the right way to get through each
Exactly.
individual person.
Exactly.
These people are individuals.
That is kind of the, what do you want to call it? The intangible aspect of it. Analytics for pitching is that's what that is
it's
for
trying,
a pitcher.
You're trying to identify with each pitcher, based on what happens when the baseball comes out of your hand, what is best for you. Different pitchers, we taught, because we've also learned not all of the same pitch is treated equally. Daniel Lynch's fastball and Jackson Coar's fastball are not the same pitch.
They might be completely different.
In theory, you're like, Fulton, it's just a fastball. But no, they spin differently. They come out of the hand differently. So you need the personalized plans for pitchers is the number one thing that every team should be doing. And the Royals weren't doing that. And now they are. And that's what gives me hope and optimism. I still think this team's ceiling this year is like 74 wins, which
I'm a little bit more optimistic than that. And the reason why is if Greinke is Greinke.
And if Zach can be healthy.
If Zach can do just exactly what he did last year.
Yeah.
3.5 ERA, pitch 150 innings. I think this Royals team can win 80.
I think there's an outside chance it revolves around the young guys taking the step forward. And I believe some of them can, but we also have, and that's where spring training is difficult, because you see sometimes good things come out, but you also sometimes should always wonder how much of this matters. And it's hard to find the right data that does this. And as some time goes, we'll look at some things and I'll try and help you guys pinpoint out what are the things that stabilize faster, because some data stabilizes faster, which means that can tell you something. But if these young guys start looking good early and look a bit different, my overall message is just there is reason for hope when a new regime comes in.
For sure.
Don't get discouraged if this team is in the 70s and wins again, because there is going to be room for improvement. All this ties around to if some of the young guys, and by some I mean like two, if 2 to 3 of these young guys outside of Brady Singer can really show up like, wow, that's a number 3 average starter. If that happens, I'll go for next year.
I wouldn't even say that. I would think just 2 players in general. If Massey all of a sudden takes off, or then
as long as if the young guys in the field hit where they should and continue their growth and don't regress massively, combine that with a couple of these young pitchers from 2018 showing, wow, we can be a starting pitcher to this rotation. This team has potential.
The problem with all of this is all of this should have happened last year.
The problem is this is a conversation that we should have been having. Jake, this conversation should have been having 2 years ago.
Well, last year for sure.
But last year for sure, this is where we should have been. But they wasted a year.
Sherman did it right. The problem was that he did it right a year too late.
Yeah, I think they're a year behind their curve, but we'll see what happens. But there's room for hope and optimism when it comes to the Royals.
I do want to get to the new rules, because that is what is going to be talked about.
Those are important
most in this spring training. And even Matt Quatraro said it will be a little bit of chaos to start off with, because a lot of the guys have never been involved in these rules. Now, some have.
Yep, some of them, especially the rookies from last year, because a lot of these were in AAA last year.
The minor leagues have been doing at least one of these for the last couple of years. So the 3 biggest rules. One, it's bigger bases, an 18-inch base compared to a 15-inch base, which honestly they're hoping safety will help out, and maybe some steals, but that's about it.
Yeah. Minor change.
The other two rules are much bigger. Now, I did not think that the pitch clock was going to make that big of a impact. And here's the reason why. At first glance, they were assuming that the pitch clock would help out a 9-inning game, which the average 9-inning game was about 3 hours and 10 minutes. That was the average 9-inning game for Major League Baseball. And they're like, yeah, it could shave off, 5 to 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, to me,
that didn't seem worth it if it was 5 to 8.
It did not seem worth it if it's 5 to 8 minutes.
Yeah. Then we put it into practice.
That doesn't matter. Well, what is that going to do?
Yeah.
Well, you can get home quicker. No, what matters is you make one bad turn in the parking lot and
you've lost 5 to 8 minutes.
Your 8 minutes is gone. Now, they put it in the minors, and it was shaving off almost close to 30 minutes.
Like, you knocked off about 20 to 25 minutes a game.
It was, I think, on average, close to 28.
Yeah, you were getting close to some games knocking off half an hour, and that
is,
I will agree, is tangible.
If you go
3:10 to almost 2.5 hours, that is tangible.
Well, not quite, like 2:45.
Yeah, 2:45.
That is a big difference. So I am now on board with the pitch clock,
and I'll add this on the pitch clock because this has been in college baseball for years. Give it 2.5 weeks, none of you will notice it. Like, unless the broadcasters are pointing it out to you, within 2.5, 3 weeks, it'll become second nature.
I don't think you'll notice it until starters get tired or it's later in their appearance and they're wearing down. Yeah. Or when they're having a rough inning, and sometimes you need a little bit of
You want to take that breather? Well,
you know what I mean?
Good luck.
So you get 15 seconds with no men on and 20 seconds with men on. You have 8 seconds as the batter. If there's 8 seconds left on the clock, your butt needs to be in the box.
You must be in the box and alert to the pitcher is the specific wording.
Yeah. So now there are times where you get to step off one time during the at-bat, but that's it. And we will see. Now, guys like, the older guys, the Greinke's of the world, they've never had a pitch clock.
No.
But the
Zach also, I think, like Zach specifically,
he pitches pretty quick.
Already works. But yeah, no, it's me just appeared. Josh Stammont's going to hate this. Josh Staumont is going to hate every minute of this because he takes like 45 seconds between pitches, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Jonathan Heasley, when he pitches, he will literally see no change. He was already going with 20 seconds of pitch.
Yeah. So that will be a little bit of an adjustment.
Lorenzo Cain picked right time to retire because he could not fiddle with his batting gloves as much anymore.
Yeah, well, the whole rule about getting out of the batter's box, that was supposed to be a rule, but it never got enforced.
Yeah, and now you're like, that's the other part of this. We all focused on, pitchers have to work faster. No, hitters got to be in the dang box.
And
so you don't get to see guys fiddling with 20 pounds to their gear anymore. Get the pitch done and let's go.
And will they enforce it?
Major League Baseball has told them yes. So, like, the way umpires have been instructed is there's no grace period to this.
Yeah.
Like, throughout the spring training games, you violate it, you're called for it. Like, there's no, it's just, no, you violate it, you're getting called for it, which everyone has kind of agreed. March and April are going to be a mess. And it's going to be a mess.
And that's why Quatraro says it'll be a little bit of chaos.
But after about a month and a half, things will stabilize and everyone will be good. So it's going to be, I think, more enjoyable to watch.
I was not on board with it until I saw that, hey, you know what? The minors, it worked, and the players seemed to like it.
Yeah, the players were cool with it.
I'm fine with that. You know me on the shift.
Yeah, I know where you're at.
I think this is great. I am fully on board with banning the shift. And I completely understand why some people say, Jake, the way that the game has evolved, just like baseball or just like football, the game has evolved to a spread it out, getting guys one-on-one and throwing the football. It ain't a surprise that back in the 90s and early 2000s, you got Jamal Lewis and the Ravens running it for $2,000 and, it was ground and pound. And now you got, everybody's throwing the football. It's the evolution. We realize that throwing the football is more efficient. Well, in baseball, I understand that, hey, you know what? We've got more information. Hey, this guy seems to be pulling the ball every single time he gets in the batter's box. So let's put somebody over there. I get it. That's the natural evolution of baseball. But sometimes the natural evolution needs to be changed. And in football, they did that. And this situation, they are hoping it's not going to affect a whole lot of people. It's going to affect a small, I would say, the amount of people it will affect in the game, 20%. It's going to affect the guys like Vinny Pasquantino. It's going to affect those individuals. Like the guys who I feel bad for are Alex Gordon, Mike Moustakas. Those are the guys that I feel bad for because this rule change could have turned their 280 career hitters to 295 career hitters because you don't have the rule is you can have two guys on either side of second base. You can't take your shortstop and move him into shallow right field.
Yeah.
That's not allowed anymore.
You must have the infielders must be two infielders on either side of second base with both feet on the dirt at the release of the pitch.
And so now you can still do a modified.
Yeah, that shortstop can really hug that second baseline.
Exactly.
Like that's fully allowed. That is legal.
Yeah. But that still is going to open up a lot more holes, and it will. It'll only affect 20% of batters, all right? But if, like the rules, for instance, if that generates a hit and a half per game, maybe that helps the rules of 1.5 times per game. Well, how many more hits is that going to generate? How many more base runners is that going to generate? Just in baseball in general, it'll get more people involved. Batters will be able to move a little bit more. You'll get more action. That's
what they want.
That's the reason why
I'm also excited for the first time we get to see a two-man outfield, though, with this thing. Because that's been a thought of what teams might try and do. They might take their left fielder and park him in short right. And then there's no one in left field. That has been considered. And it is legal under the rule.
Yeah.
However, MLB has it written in the legislation that if the two-man outfield becomes a problem, it's within their rights to ban it during the year. Just say, all right, guys, stop parking your left fielder in short right. Like you must put your outfielders out there.
And from the Big O Tires text line, and there's a lot of people who agree with this. Professional batters should be good enough to control their bat and hit the ball the other way against the shift. The ban of the shift gives the hitters a huge advantage. Now, I will say when it comes to you should be able to hit against the shift. To me, the game has changed so much where the advantage now and for the last 5 years has been towards the pitcher.
Yes, pitchers have had the advantage for the only year they did it was 2019, and that's because MLB put a fake ball in.
Well, yeah, they had a juice baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anytime you...
I know. I'm just saying, overall, it's been pitcher heavy for years.
And that's the reason why they're doing this, is because...
they're trying to balance the game out.
Pitchers, do you remember this? Okay, and this is my best example of... pitchers are not what they used to be. All right. Bob Gibson. All right. We're talking Hall of Fame Bob Gibson.
Oh, Bob Gibson.
Right. Bob Gibson was considered a monster on the mound, right?
Yeah.
Like big, intimidating, and I mean, he brought the heat, right? Like that dude, that dude's standing out there. Bob Gibson was 6'1", 190. Okay. Bob Gibson maybe touched 100 miles an hour. I don't even know if he did. I don't know.
I remember. There's been stuff I know, but
I cannot back that up. I know this. Bob Gibson was the reason they moved the mound back. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob Gibson right now wouldn't even be in the upper tier of velocity on the Royals bullpen. That's why it is harder to hit a baseball than it ever has before. Bob Gibson, and Bob Gibson is arguably a top 10 pitcher of all time.
It's one of the greatest.
One of the greatest. I'm not knocking Bob Gibson. It's just the way the game and athletes evolve.
Yeah.
Bob Gibson was 6'1", 190, whereas you look at like Justin Verlander is 6'5", 210 pounds. Like, these are not what they used to be. And what they used to be is something that you could. That is the reason why, to me, umpires are having a harder time because they can't see the damn ball because it's coming in at 100 miles an hour now. That's not their own fault. It's just the game has changed. To try to hit. If you are a social media, if you're able to use social media, there is a account that I think does a terrific job of just showing you, oh my God, how does anybody get a hit in baseball? He's the pitching ninja.
Yeah, pitching ninja tells you, how does anyone hit baseballs anymore?
What he does is he puts video together of, let's say, Brady Singer, all right? And Brady Singer's fastball and his changeup and his slider. And he'll overlay them all together. And the release point is about 2 inches apart from every one of his pitches. So you have no clue whether it is a fastball, a slider, or a changeup. And then the pitch is shown. And it does a great job of the ball slowing down. And then about midway to home plate, all three of those balls are exactly around each other by about an inch from each other. And then the video continues on and it ends up at home plate. And one ball is low and away, one ball is high right, and one ball is, up and in. How are you supposed to hit that?
I'll just add this to it. And this is like, I have changed my tune on this shift thing as the year has gone. Since this was announced last year and it announced implementation, I'm more okay with it because I get the idea of we make rules to balance the game as the game evolves and the game is different. Here's my thing to 2 points here. I get the idea of, maybe the guy should be able to hit it the other way. It has never been harder to hit a baseball. And listen, yeah, I get it. These guys are at the top of their craft. Maybe they should have more control. It's also ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
Like, they have the reaction, like hitting a baseball is the hardest feat to do in sports. There is nothing harder. Because of the reaction time that you have to make your decision and read what's happening is infinitesimal.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, if you fail 7 out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, because it's that hard to do it.
Yeah.
So that's where I go to the whole hitting the other way thing, is it's not as easy as we want to make it seem. And then to this thing that it's going to give hitters a huge advantage, that's blown out. Like, the math has been done. The math has been done. It's going to help some guys. But here's the thing. There are pitchers who are fans of this. Because guess what? Some of those weird hits that happen because a guy wasn't the spot he's supposed to be in, those go away too.
Max Scherzer's smiling right now.
There are pitchers that are happy about this because those balls that get shot, you're like, man, the shortstop was standing there. He's going to be standing there now. That's going to balance itself out. So I get people's thoughts. I'm not going to say anyone's wrong for being against it. Games change. That's been my thing for a while now, is sports evolve as the world evolves, and it's just where baseball's evolved too.
From the Big O Tires text line, today's hitters grew up against those same hard-throwing pitchers. They should still be able to control their bat.
It's so much harder than that. And that's where I go to this. I don't think we're I do. I don't think anyone's understanding at that point how ridiculously difficult it is for what they're doing.
And
it is not as simple as just, we'll hit it the other way. It's not that simple.
And I think it's because this is just so much harder.
Yes.
So much harder than it was.
Guys are throwing harder than ever before. Things are breaking
2000s.
harder than ever before. Things are spinning better than ever before. Pitching has never been as good as it is right now.
Ever.
Never. Not once. Get out of here, Bob Gibson. Get out of here, Sandy Koufax. I love you, both those men, to death. They're greatest of all times. But no, it's never been as good as it is now.
It's incredible.
Because every guy you face is throwing 98 at your head with a slider that breaks 80 inches. Good luck.
That doesn't sound fun. Coming up, we got our odds makers here on Mic'd Up. Fulton. What are the odds? KU wins the Big 12.
And getting a share counts as a yes in this answer, correct?
Of course.
That's what I always just like to make sure. 85%.
85.
They have one hard game left.
And that game might not matter.
And it might not matter. Listen, I will say this on air right now, 2:40, February 21st. KU loses at home to West Virginia or Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
I
That's how you said it. Texas
I'll bet my mortgage that doesn't happen. I don't have a mortgage. I'll bet my rent money. It ain't happening. KU's not losing at home to either of those two teams.
Texas Tech.
Not happening.
That was hilarious.
Those two teams on the road, no. KU 20-balled West Virginia in Morgantown. Granted, that was a different West Virginia team, but I digress.
See, I don't think it has anything to do with KU. I think it has all to do with Texas. Can they go 3-0 against Iowa State,
I don't think
Baylor,
they can.
and TCU? I don't think they can either. So I'm going to give it. What'd you say, 85?
I said 85.
I'll say 75 right
That's fair.
now. So, I mean, well more than not. I mean,
That's fair.
They're in the minus territory if we were betting right now.
Oh, yes.
I wonder if you can even bet
I
that.
assume you can bet who's going to be the Big 12 champion. I would assume.
What?
You can bet who's going to be the Big 12 champion.
Well, I don't know if you can right now anymore. Like, it might be too late.
They might not have consistent rolling odds. It might be a little too late in the game. But yeah, no, Kansas should be up to minus odds to at least get a share. Because, yeah, like they still have Texas on the docket. That's the only team currently with them right now. KU has two easier home games.
You got regular season winner. It has to be outright.
Was KU outright then?
It looks like Big 12 regular season winner. If any unlisted team wins a conference, all bets will be voided. Because it says here, regular season winner. On the top of it, it says outright winners. You see that? Okay. So if you click on the Big 12, and it's got KU at minus 390. So that's about 75%.
Yeah, that's just where they are. And I think it's fitting. It's just with the way they're playing ball right now.
Yeah, I
also don't foresee them not
75.
playing this level of ball right now.
Yeah. And that's just the outright, mate, you know.
Yeah, that's winning the outright title.
Yeah.
Which would also be very, very fun. KU lost a bunch of talent, returned barely any scoring.
I'll say 75.
It's great. Same as always, Jake. 8 teams in the tournament from the Big 12. What are the odds?
Man, I did not think West Virginia would be surging like they are. What's
the only reason I'm confident KU is going to beat West Virginia because it's Allen Fieldhouse. I want to make that very clear right now. That's the only reason I'm confident them winning. If this had flipped to be playing this version of West Virginia in Morgantown, I will openly tell you I'd be a little worried.
Right now, ESPN has got 8 Big 12 teams.
West Virginia, 12 seed, 8th team in.
CBS has West Virginia in as the first 4. They would play New Mexico. So they've got 8.
The Lobos.
I am increasing this because Texas Tech has even got a puncher's chance now.
Yeah, they're starting to make some noise.
I mean, Oklahoma State's a 9 seed.
Yeah.
I'm still not there yet. I'll say 48%. So more likely than not, still it won't happen, but I'm much closer.
I'm willing to raise it to 52. I think, because West Virginia, if they lose to Kansas, which, like I said, I really think they will. West Virginia, with the way they're playing, is playing well, but with KU playing as well as they are right now, and it's that building you're walking into, that loss is not going to be held against West Virginia. They're not expected to walk into Kansas and win.
No.
So I think just with everything else they have going on, and I mean, West Virginia's got a resume builder on their schedule if they can do it, and when they play K-State.
That's at home.
So
West Virginia,
I think it's 52.
Right now, they're 5-10 in conference.
And that's the dangerous part.
They finish with KU, Iowa State, K-State. If they win one of those 3.
Yeah. Man, if they can beat Iowa State and Hilton, that's a huge win.
I think they might be in, but man,
they're close. They're teetering.
They get K-State at home. That's probably the game.
They got a chance. Now, if they lose all 3 of those and then lose in the Big 12 tournament, I might change my tune on them.
Yeah, no, but if they lose 3 in a row and then lose opening game of the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, the committee's probably going to keep them out.
They're not it. They're not it. You can't go 5-12 in or 5-13 in conference play and make the tournament. No. You got to win probably one of the next 3.
Yeah.
And you probably have to win your opening game of the Big 12 tournament. I think Oklahoma State, as long as they win one more game in conference play, they're probably in because they would get to 8-10 in the conference.
Yeah, that should help them. So.
But West
Virginia's got a real shot, man.
But the problem is that Oklahoma State has. I mean, everybody can be anybody in this league. That's why this league is so brutal. But they play K-State Saturday. Oklahoma State does. Then they play Baylor at home, and then Texas Tech on the road. So you got to win one of those 3.
Those are not all 3 winnable.
Like Oklahoma's not making it.
No, Oklahoma and Tech is trying, but it would take a miracle.
Tech's last 3 that they have, they got 4 because they play tonight.
Yeah, because they got Oklahoma tonight. Then they have Kansas at some point.
They got Oklahoma, TCU, KU, and Oklahoma State. If they go 2-2, beat Oklahoma and TCU, or beat TCU and Oklahoma State, or just finish with 2 wins, Texas Tech would end up 6-12. Probably need a couple wins in the Big 12 tournament, that lead-in game, and then maybe pull off a stunner. Yeah. Then they might.
Maybe.
What are they listed? Are they like one of the first few out?
No, I think they're pretty deeper past that.
They're not even on the list for ES or CBS's bracketology as the first 4 out.
Yeah, they're only listed in 3 brackets of the 104 in existence right now.
Right now, they're the next 4 out, according to Lenardi.
Yeah, very few people have them, in right now.
But if you finish 2-2,
you finish that strong though,
and you
never know.
win a game that
And you get some help up top.
Yep,
You never know.
You'll be in the mix. Coming up next, we will get to K-State Baylor. How big is this game? We'll get to that coming up next. State beat Baylor in Waco. That happened. That happened. That's also kind of the same time that KU had lost 3 games in a row, and every single KU fan was losing their mind, including you, because you were very nervous for that game against Kentucky.
I was.
I was
a little nervous.
You were not in a good headspace.
Listen, I was in a bad place that weekend. And then I was real good when the weekend was over.
That was the weekend where I was like, man, what if the Bengals and Kentucky win?
I emotionally hedged.
Holton.
I was prepared.
Holton was like, man, I don't know if I can do that.
I was very serious that I might have told Jake I'm not coming into work that Monday.
That was too much.
I might have stayed home.
But man, you want to talk about two completely different teams?
Yeah, that you can honestly throw that Baylor K-State game from way back early in the year out the window.
K-State put up 86 in regulation in that one.
They're hot.
Marquise Noel went for 32. That
was part of Marquise's run where he was just Trae Young and Steph Curry combined.
He was on a heater. The difference right now is that Baylor, to me, is playing a lot better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And they also got deeper.
Yeah.
With Chachua coming back.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a huge deal right now. I think Baylor offensively right now is too good for K-State. I'm going to take Baylor to win this game because I think the trio of guards of Flagler, Cryer, and George and the addition of Chachua inside, it's going to be too much. Right now, K-State is not playing like the 97-point overtime scorer that they were in the beginning of the season. That's not who they are. And I think Baylor offensively is scoring the way that they are scoring. I think that's legit. I think this Baylor team has a serious Final Four opportunity. I got Baylor winning this game. I think it will be close, but I think there's just too much offense right now for Baylor. And it is at home, and it is at Bramlage. And K-State plays so much better at Bramlage. And it's purple Baylor versus regular Baylor. I love Jerome Tang. I think what Jerome Tang does with the whole couch thing where he takes the couch and goes to different places on campus and they record all of the stuff. They went to the engineering, department, and somebody asked Jerome Tang a science question, and they were talking about ideal gas and just gas. And he laughed and he made a fart joke. He said, so when I'm with my wife and, something happens, I can just be like, honey, that was an ideal gas. He's literally talking about farting on a sit down, social media interview. Jerome Tang is terrific. And if any K-State fan doesn't like Jerome Tang, I don't want to be friends with you. I think Jerome Tang is awesome. I love that he makes you feel like he's just a dude. He talked about farting in front of his wife on a legit Wildcat social media video called an ideal gas. I thought it was hilarious. But I think Baylor too much offensively. Too much.
I think it's close, but man.
Are you going to go? Are you going Baylor? Are you going to go? Or are you going to ride with the Cats?
I think I got to go Baylor. The way that they're going to try and get that taste out of their mouth from blowing that game to KU last time out. The way the Bears are playing. Hope K-State proves me wrong, but I think it'll be Baylor.
Coming up, we will wrap things up with the mic drop. What is your mic drop?
Rob Manfred, just integrate ads into the flow of play. You will trim this games down to like 215. I'm telling you, I'm not saying get rid of your ads. I'm saying integrate it into the flow of the game. You'll knock it down to 215. That's what you want, Rob, right? That's what you want. That's what you want.
KU went on a 34-9 run on Saturday in one of the most amazing stretches of basketball that I think I've ever seen. That was incredible. That'll do it for Mic'd Up 580 Sports Talk coming up next.